Good evening, welcome to Cardiff City TV. Well, shooting opportunity. Oh, it's brilliant. Morrison, goal!
Good afternoon, welcome to Cardiff City TV. Welcome to 2022. A very happy new year to you all. I hope you've all had a lovely festive period with your families and loved ones and made the most of whatever you've had the opportunity to do in this strange old time at the moment. And that, of course, extends all the way through to football, where not only is it a strange old time in terms of results for Cardiff City at the moment, but with fixtures being cancelled right, left and centre across the country, everyone's a little bit in limbo about where anyone stands. Where we stand this afternoon, well, we know we have travelled to the Hawthorns, the home of West Bromwich Albion, and another stern test for the Bluebirds this afternoon, going up against a team hoping to push right back to the Premier League, and a team who have been reinforced by a just shy of £8 million signing, helping to do that. Yesterday, the first day of the transfer window, they've brought Daryl Dike in from Orlando City. You might recognise the name. He spearheaded Barnsley's assault on the playoffs last season, and manager of Barnsley from that time, Valerian Ismail, now in charge at West Bromwich Albion, has brought Daryl Dike, the young American striker, back to English football, hoping that he can do the same for the Baggies this time around, because they've been languishing a little bit, to say the least. They come into this game with a draw and a defeat on their last two games. They lost to Derby last time out. That's their second defeat to Beleaguer Derby this season. So not plain sailing by any means in the Midlands at the moment. But of course, Cardiff, we have our own problems off the back of that comfortable win for league leaders Bournemouth 3 days ago down on the south coast. Fixture list doesn't get any easier for the Bluebirds. Of course, this afternoon we take on third place West Bromwich Albion. Fourth place Blackburn Rovers await next up in the Championship fixture list, and then we have the FA Cup game with Preston sandwiched in the middle. Looming seven-side derby on the fixture list also in January, Nottingham Forest as well, before the fixture list turns in February, and we start to see some teams in and around ourselves at the wrong end of the Championship table, the likes of Barnsley, Hull, Peterborough, yet to play, of course, for Cardiff for a second time around. But first of all, we need to start picking up some points against the tough top-end opposition that we're going to face in the next month. In order to achieve that, Steve Morrison has had some difficult team selections to make this afternoon, I'm sure. Disappointing result, disappointing performance a few days ago at Bournemouth, but also trying to juggle some fitness issues. Cardiff, of course, went 19 days without a fixture before being thrust back into action against the Cherries. So surely there will be some tired legs coming out to that one. But just two changes Steve Morrison has decided on for this afternoon's game against the Baggies. One of them enforced, but probably would have happened anyway. Malcolm Pack comes back into the midfield area. He replaces Leandro Bacuna, of course, serves the first match of his pending 3-game suspension for that red card just before half-time against Bournemouth. Completely swung that fixture. And there is also a change that I'm blanking on at the moment, but there's a second change in the team for Cardiff City, which we'll swing back to later on. Changes for West Brom as well, which we'll touch on when hopefully I'm joined by my colleague John Donovan in a few minutes' time. But let's first hear from Steve Morrison himself as he reflected on that frustrating midweek defeat, and also looks ahead at another tough ask this afternoon.
We performed pretty well first half. We had the two big moments we should have scored. We didn't. They scored a deflected goal when Al was going to put his hat on it. Apart from that, it didn't really cause us any problems first half. A couple of nearly moments. I thought we got the game plan spot on. Sending off changes the dynamics of the game. We have to try and stay in the game against a really, really good footballing team. we had a couple of moments right at the start of the first half. We had the long throw. We could have might have fallen for us. It didn't, and ultimately we lost 3-0. But the boys who were on the pitch at the end, they put their bodies on the line. They left everything out there, and on another note, I think that's why every single fan stayed in there from us who's travelled all that way, and they sung us off the pitch and they clapped us off the pitch, and I think they can show the lads are fighting and they're leaving it all out there. So for me, that's a really good sign. It's a sign of positivity, and we've just got to keep building on that. People have to step up. We've got however many bodies we've got in the building. It's going to take every single one of us, and people can't feel sorry for themselves for too long, because we've got another game in 48 hours. So we're going to need everyone. And I said, really it's a different game, West Brom, to what Bournemouth was. Yeah, it's really gutted in terms of it was going all right. A bit like the Sheffield United one, it was going all right. And then people let you down, they let themselves down. It's really, really tough. And as you said, when your luck's not luck's down, I hate saying that, but when you're up against it, like with the goal, their goal was a deflection, and we've had 2 from inside of the 6-yard box, and the keeper shouldn't have to make a save. We should put the ball in the back of the net, and then the sending off doesn't happen because we're not making last ditch tackles, etc., etc. So, as I said, we move on from it now. There's not a lot we can do.
Welcome back, Steve Morrison there, talking ahead of this afternoon's game against West Bromwich Albion and reflecting on that real game of 2 halves in 3 days ago. I was going to say midweek, I've lost track of days. So 3 days ago down in Bournemouth, where Cardiff were second best but held their own at the same time in the first 45 minutes. And of course that game completely swung in first half injury time with Leandro Bacuna seeing red, leaving Cardiff short-handed for the second half, and also leaving us without him for this afternoon from the matchday squad. So to reiterate the team news for Cardiff, Marlon Pack comes in to the centre of midfield to replace Leandro Bacuna. That probably means a slightly different role for the midfield shape as well. We'll wait to see the extent of that. And there's also the change I was blanking on in the intro there was that Kiefer Moore has not recovered from that knock. It looked like a left ankle problem. He's not recovered from that knock against Bournemouth. We're yet to fully appreciate the full extent of that. We'll obviously give you news when we do have it, but it means that James Collins comes in to the starting lineup this afternoon to replace Kiefer. And young Keenan Patton is the man brought onto the bench to fill the hole left by Leandro Bacuna's exclusion from the matchday squad. We said there's changes for West Brom as well, notably Darnell Furlong, who has been arguably the best fullback in this division this season. He started the last 3 games after missing 3 before that with injury himself, but he drops out this afternoon. Young Taylor Gardner-Hickman, young teenager right wing back, has been excellent. He comes into Valérien Ismaël's side at the right wing back position. There are also changes for West Brom in the forward line, where another teenager, 18-year-old Tom Fellows, comes in to play in the right-sided forward role in an attacking lineup alongside Callum Robinson and Carlan Grant, who of course scored early on in the reverse fixture here at the Cardiff City Stadium back in September. A really difficult evening for Cardiff that on that occasion. It means a second defeat in 3 fixtures against West Brom. Actually, a fixture that has not been played as frequently as you might think. We'll remember these 2 clubs, as I certainly do in my time working, 15 years working for this club. You seem to remember them as a frequent foe, but that's not particularly been the case. But the fact of the matter remains, Cardiff's only win in 8 over the Baggies came at home the last time these 2 were in the same division last season, and that was Callum Patterson and Lee Tomlin on the score sheet there in a 2-1 defeat. Of course, it was a 4-0 scoreline earlier this year in 2021 at the Cardiff City Stadium. So we are struggling at the moment, I'm afraid, to get my colleague John Donovan on the line from the Hawthorns because of some technical gremlins. So what we're going to do instead, we're going to throw over a little earlier than planned to an interview that's been conducted with Max Watters, who has been recalled by Cardiff City in lieu of his fine form on loan at MK Dons in the first half of the season. He had some injury problems early doors, fought back to fitness and really got himself amongst the goals there playing in League One, and he should get an opportunity to shine once more in the Championship in the second half of this season, having been recalled. Let's hear from Max now.
Max, thanks for joining us this morning. How have the last few weeks looked, in terms of your return back to Cardiff City?
Yeah, it was obviously I had COVID during Christmas, so that wasn't good when I was at Milton Keynes. And then I spoke to the Cardiff manager a few days ago, and he just said he'd like to bring me back. He wants to. He thinks I've done well at Milton Keynes, and he thinks I'll fit in well at Cardiff once I'm back fit. So he'd like to have me back, and I couldn't say no. I was really excited when he said that, and I couldn't wait to come back.
How did you find the loan spell? Because obviously it was a different challenge for you, certainly, and as you said, you seem to have taken it by the horns and made a success of it.
Yeah, I thought it would be best for me to go out on loan. I didn't get much game time last season, so Milton Keynes looked to be the best option at the start of the season. I spoke to Russell Martin, which was the manager at the time, and he explained how he wants things to be, and I really wanted to join and be a part of it. Obviously, Russell Martin left and Liam Manning came in. Liam Manning, a great manager, really helped me out a lot. I really fitted into the team, although I did have 2 injuries by the time I was there. But a really great club and helped me out a lot and helped me mature to become a better player.
And of course, I imagine that there's a lot of those experiences now, that bits and bobs that you've picked up along the way that you really want to bring back to the club for the rest of the season for a start.
Yeah, you're always learning as a footballer. Milton Keynes helped me out a lot to mature, to learn little aspects of the game that I never knew. So hopefully I can bring that back to Cardiff, and it'll help Cardiff out, hopefully.
And of course, it's you've made your debut for the club last season, so I imagine it's really something that you are looking forward to, that return when it does come. Yeah,
obviously last season we didn't have fans, so hopefully when the fans do come back again, that would be good to see. Hopefully get them back at home. Cardiff City has a great fan base, so with a great stadium as well. Hopefully it'll be good to see them.
Welcome back. Max Watters there talking to us a couple of days ago after his recall from MK Dons. 5 goals in 11 games for Max, of course, was a January signing himself last season for the Bluebirds from Crawley Town. I'm filling a little here because, as you can see behind me, my colleague John Donovan is in position, mask on and all. However, I think we've got a few technical gremlins. Oh no, I can hear him. There he is. John, a very happy new year to you. I understand testing, to say the least, at the moment, conditions at the Hawthorns, but at least you're not at Loftus Road, which has served us particularly badly on the opening day of Championship seasons in years gone by. No problem. If we do get John to rejoin us, we'll of course throw back to him in due course, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So yeah, to revert to my point, I was discussing Max Watters, a January signing himself, of course, made that step up, and a steep step as well, from League 2 last January. One of 2 January signings Cardiff made, of course, alongside Perry and G, making the step up himself from League 1 to Championship. Max went from League 2 to Championship, and was being on loan at the start of the season at MK Dons, where despite some early injuries, he scored 5 goals in 11 games for playoff hopeful MK Dons, a team which has got a number of Cardiff links in recent seasons. Joe Mason and Cameron Jerome also playing up front there in recent years for the Dons. But Max is back with Cardiff for the remainder of this season, having been recalled by the Bluebirds a couple of days ago. Now, that wasn't necessarily in light of Kiefer Moore's injury, but obviously would afford him even more playing time immediately if Kiefer's injury proves to be serious. We just don't know that at the moment. We're still waiting on news. As it is, what it means for this afternoon, it means James Collins comes in to the starting lineup to replace Kiefer Moore, who is absent and will get the start. You can see the league table there in front of you. Cardiff, the wrong end of that, but West Bromwich Albion sat 4th at the moment, have been leapfrogged by Blackburn Rovers, who are up next for the Bluebirds in Championship play. And it's been a particularly testing time for the Baggies of late, who started the season in really fine form, really seemed to grasp what new manager Valérien Ismaël was asking them to do. We saw from their time at Barnsley, we know what he wants from a team. It's really high intensity, high press. He brought his captain Alex Mowat to the Hawthorns with him to achieve that, and he's been an instant success. But it has been a bit of a stumbling block of late. Just 2 wins in their last 7 games, and defeat last time out to Derby County, their second loss of the season against bottom place Derby, and also a defeat to Huddersfield Town along the road. Both of those away from home, I should add. There's also been a 0-0 draw at Ishmael's former club Barnsley in amongst there, a draw away at Blackpool, goalless as well, and a goalless draw with Nottingham Forest. So goals have been hard to come by. The 2 wins in that period, a 2-1 win over Coventry City and a 1-0 win over Reading. So goals have been difficult to come by. They've certainly not been free scoring, and there's been an inkling of discontent already amongst the home faithful, who, like most teams, especially teams in their position, who have yo-yoed between the Premier League and Championship in the last decade or so. They like success, but they also like their football played a certain way, and you do feel that there's been a few murmurings of discontent, particularly when they've come up against teams in and around them in the division and haven't done particularly well. A 3-0 defeat away at Fulham stands out, but better news at home, where they are unbeaten in their last 8 games at the Hawthorns. So that's something for West Brom to hang their hat on as they look to get back into automatic contention. For Cardiff, as we just reiterate from what we opened this show with, it's just a case of trying to pick up points, and as many as possible, in this really, really difficult run of fixtures the Bluebirds have upcoming. West Brom today, Blackburn up next, Nottingham Forest, and a 7-side derby to Bristol against Bristol City, who are currently drawing 1-1. In fact, no, they're trailing now by 2-1 at home to Millwall. So that's actually really good news for the Bluebirds as we continue to scrabble for points ourselves and nervously glance at grounds across the division in hoping that others don't pick up points. It's certainly not the position we want to find ourselves in. It's not the position we're used to finding ourselves in, quite frankly, at Cardiff City over the last decade and a half. But it's where we're at, and Cardiff and the Bluebirds, the 11 players who are going to take the field this afternoon, are going to need to show some resolve against a good Baggies team to come back with anything. We are 12 minutes from kick-off at the Hawthorns, so it's time for us all to get in position for commentary. Live coverage on Cardiff City, courtesy of myself, on video commentary, Ashley James and John Donovan, and Connor Pearce in position at the Hawthorns for audio commentary, and we'll have live coverage of the game the other side of these messages.
Top 5 in association with the Big Yellow Self-Storage Company.
Clutch dive of Sam Johnson, and Cardiff are back ahead.
It's not Will Volks.
So he's the worst.
Flinty. Will. Everything is 100 miles an hour every time. I think Volks here again. Actually, he's quite business orientated. I'd put my hat in the ring as well. I think. Yeah. Who's the tightest player we've got? Joe Rouse. There's a few people that spend a lot of time in the mirror doing their hair. Yeah, plenty. Huh? Mars. I quite enjoy Alex Smithy's banter. Alex Smithy's banter, yeah, he's very dry. Will. Marlon. He's a coach. He's done his badges and I can see him getting into it.
Good evening, welcome to Cardiff City TV. Oh, shooting opportunity. Oh, it's brilliant. Morrison, goal! Good afternoon and a happy new year to you all. Welcome to Cardiff City TV on this afternoon as we travel to the Hawthorns, the home of West Bromwich Albion. Fourth place, West Bromwich Albion in the Championship table. The Baggies looking to bounce back to Premier League action. Been one of those clubs, haven't they, the last decade or so. In fact, longer than that probably. We've flit in between the two divisions. Able to permanently call either a home, and Valerian Ismail, the man charged with leading the Baggies back there this time around, and they were in something of stuttering form, but so were they back in September, heading into that game at the Cardiff City Stadium when they quite comfortably brushed aside the Bluebirds in a 4-0 scoreline on that evening. A 3-0 defeat for Cardiff, of course, the last time out 3 days ago on the south coast away at Bournemouth. Played the second half short-handed after Leandro Bacuna's injury time dismissal for a wild lunge on Philip Billing in the middle of the park, and it was a real tough uphill battle in those second 45 minutes for a Bluebirds team that hadn't played competitive football in 19 days because of cancellations to the pre-Christmas fixture against Derby County, and of course the intended Boxing Day game with Coventry. FA Cup action up next for both these teams after this afternoon. Cardiff, of course, will welcome Preston North End to the Cardiff City Stadium next Sunday. Live coverage of that game with Welsh language commentary on S4C, Spadwarec. For the Baggies, they will welcome Premier League opposition in the form of Brighton and Hove Albion to hear the Hawthorns as they look to progress to the fourth round of the Cup. More importantly for them is getting themselves back into automatic promotion hunt, because they've been vaulted in recent weeks by Blackburn Rovers, and with Bournemouth and Fulham continuing to plough on in the top two positions, that gap is widening. There are some worried looking faces at the moment, not both of us particularly on your screen in front of you, but around Hawthorns, as the Bluebirds looking to kick off the calendar year 2022, emerging down beneath us in the away pink strip. Opening fixtures to a calendar year haven't been kind on the Bluebirds in recent seasons, riding 4 straight defeats heading into this afternoon's game. 2 of those came at Loftus Road against Queen's Park Rangers. One of them you might remember in incredibly heavy fashion, 6-1 defeat. There's also a Premier League home defeat to Tottenham Hotspur in amongst that bunch, and also last season's 2-1 defeat to Norwich. Changes though for West Bromwich Albion. 2 teenagers come in. Taylor Gardner-Hickman into the right wing-back position. He's been impressive, deputising for Darnell Furlong. Has probably been the best right-back in this division this season. And also Tom Fellows comes in for a very youthful right-hand side for the Baggies. Carlan Grant scored on his last game against Cardiff City, and Callum Robinson has rediscovered some form in the front line. Also Daryl Dike, not involved this afternoon, but has signed for £8 million yesterday from Orlando City. 2 changes for the Bluebirds as well, both enforced. One of them in the striking lineup. James Collins comes in to replace the injured Kiefer Moore in attack. The other in the centre of the park, where Marlon Pack will operate in the holding role, with Leandro Bacuna suspended after that red card against Bournemouth. Marlon Pack certainly will not be playing on the left-hand side of the forward line, as that graphic suggests.
Number 16, Matt Clark. Number 18, Carl Grant.
Cardiff's last win here at the Hawthorns way back when, in December 2009, a 2-0 win. Chris Burke, Peter Whitcomb, both on the score sheet. However, there haven't been that many fixtures between the two clubs since. Just 7, despite the fact that it seems we play them every season. It actually isn't the case. Cardiff's last win over the Baggies last season in the home fixture, when Callum Patterson and Lee Tomlin both scored in a 2-1 victory. The Baggies arrived in Cardiff in fine form, top of the championship table that time of asking, and Cardiff vanquished them. We've got some intriguing battles certainly here at the Hawthorns in recent seasons. Remember a 3-3 draw at the tail end of Cardiff's first Premier League season back in 13-14. Mats Moladali on the score sheet on that occasion, and a wonder goal from Jordan Much. A 3-3 draw back in January 2008. Paul Parry on the score sheet twice. And a 4-2 cup win back in September 2007 with Robbie Fowler, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank and Trevor Sinclair on the score sheet. What would Cardiff give for a win? Any kind of win this afternoon? We're about to find out.